In this video we will introduce analog clock and digital clock. As another example of how XML can be leveraged, let's take a look at a few lines of code that define an important utility, Android's popular desktop clock. The XML tag for an Android program function usually has the same name as its Java counterpart, so we can access the power of the programming language from inside simple XML. To customize an analog clock, you must add attributes to the analog clock tag, inserting them before the closing part of the tag. The analog clock view displays an analog clock with two hands, one for minutes and one for hour. Its counterpart, the digital clock view, displays the time digitally. Both views display the system time only and do not allow you to display a particular time, such as the current time in another time zone. Hence, if you want to display a time for a particular region, you have to build your own custom views. Let's look at a basic example. Here I have my text view for my analog clock, which is basically a label, and then I have my analog clock. As you can see, I haven't put anything special on it other than the ID and then the layout width and height. I also have another label for my digital clock, and all I've added is text saying digital clock. Now if we look at our digital clock tag, it doesn't really have anything special. Now let's take a look at our code. Here I have my app3 activity, and as you can see, I'm initializing an analog clock and also a digital clock. And even though the digital clock is striked out because there is a brand new text clock, so the digital clock has been phased out. But for the sake of showing what most applications might have, we're going to use the digital clock. Again, we find both by the ID, analog and digital, and that's how we display it on our main 3 layout. Let's demonstrate the functionality. I already have the Android emulator up and running. I also have already installed my app on the emulator. If you want to start the emulator and start the app, first select the project where the app resides. Right click on it, select Run As, and then select Android Application. I'm going to go ahead and click to another screen where I have the digital clock set up, and we can see here that we have the analog clock and the digital clock. This concludes our discussion of analog clock and digital clock.